Welcome to selfdiscoveryradio.com, where the orchard of wisdom is just ready for picking. We celebrate your why, the journey that you've taken that inspires someone else. We support your services, we support your story. Come and be our guest, become a host, be an author with us. Come and see what we've got. Our next show is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. Welcome to Building Your Business. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today is DeAnne Pearson. And we're starting the new year off with a bang. Now, I know it might be a little shaky for you. You've just been partying for the last few days, and it's all about getting yourself back into alignment, back into a proper groove. But why not kind of reset yourself and look at it in a different way? Now, there was a paragraph that DeAnne wrote, which I absolutely loved. And she says, I had it all: confidence, talent, intelligence. I could talk to anyone, love to listen to people tell their stories and encourage them, the right way in their lives. And I had an awesome signature that I practiced endlessly. DeAnne, 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 with a capital A in the middle of the emphasis. I was ready to sign my Mona Lisa or autograph my famous play. And she was 5 years old at the time. And I loved that because she knew who she was, what she wanted right back then. But the journey to getting where she is today is like the human journey, up and down, a little like a roller coaster, but it's led her to exactly what she does today, where she is an owner and a coach of deliberate careers. In other words, stepping into something that is deliberate, not you fell into it, well, I'm doing it, I guess, because it's all I could get, but really fulfilling yourself in your business, your personal fulfillment, taking that joy into everything you do in your life, and really understanding what you really have in front of you and what you can make out of it. Because quite honestly, we really want people to live an awesome life, because when they do, they benefit everybody around them. Welcome to the show, DeAnne.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Wow. I hadn't thought about that story in a little while. I really appreciate you reading it out loud. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Don't you find that there's a lot of people that if we paid attention to the children, we would already see the path that they wish to take? You know, you could see the skills and the gifts the children have, the aptitudes they have, the personality they have. And if we had nurtured that and allowed them to explore it, you know, they would get where they need to go an awful lot faster. But when you're resetting yourself, that inner child is always saying to you, hey, listen to me, I had it right.
Right, exactly. I think that in a previous conversation, we talked about the fact that my brother used to give me a nickel or a dime to stop talking. And that's why I went to the principal's office too, for talking, I was talking, but I was always trying to help somebody with their math or do something. So that's what it was. I think that often, like you said, if we paid attention to children and what they naturally do. So the child who draws on the walls might be a really great artist one day, but we have to find the right medium. I often get paid very well to speak or give workshops. And so it's an exchange. I have found the right audience. My brother paid me to shut up. But companies and individuals pay me a lot to speak or to often just listen and engage with them to help them move forward in sales or whatever their goal is. So it's looking for the right audience and the right medium.
Yeah, and you know, what role do we play, you know, to that audience? There's no point in speaking to the wrong people. You want to speak to people that are going to resonate with you, and you know, over the topic that is going to help them, you know, connect and help them move forward. And yes, we did talk about this before in a pre-show conversation. I used to, at boarding school, tell the kids stories in the dormitories to go to sleep, otherwise they wouldn't, because I was dormitory leader. Then I'd have to go downstairs and write 200 lines of I will not speak in the dormitory after dark. So yes, it can get us into trouble. But there again, if we're given the gift of the gab, then obviously it's your gift. How are you going to utilize it? Don't let other people shut you down, right? Even if they're paying you off.
You know, I did call my brother the first time I was paid to speak and say, hey, we had this wrong all the time. And we laughed about it, you know. So yeah, I see it a lot in my work with people who are trying to make that next professional move, and they separate who they are professionally from who they are personally, and there's a lot of pain between those 2 points.
Yes.
I once asked someone who's a very high-end salesperson who needed a resume and to regroup to find another job. He was working, but he was being recruited, and he had to submit some paperwork, and he hates that stuff. So I said, well, we need to get this done, and we need to have your personal brand to be a part of it. So, and he was like, oh, so he started listing off all the things I do this, I do that, I said, well, that's kind of deja do. I can figure that part out. Those are the repetitive things you do every day. I said, what does your wife complain about? Oh, gosh. He said, she says I'm lazy. Nah, okay, tell me what point she says that. Well, she says I'm always skipping step. Like I've skipped from step A to step Z, and it's not the way she would do it. And to me, it's still done. It's just that I didn't do all the in-between things. I said, so let's change lazy to energy efficient. And I said, so let's take that into work. And he said, oh, I get it. I connect people who need our product with one phone call or one email.
Yes.
I don't have to go. I've been doing this so long that I don't have all those steps between. That's why they want me. I said, yeah, that's why they want you.
Right. The
So
working
let's
smart.
focus on that.
Right. You don't have to work long. You just have to work smart.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I just thought that was brilliant. It's like, oh, you're not lazy. You're just energy efficient. You're not going to do all those steps.
Yes. And don't you find that actually kind of the stuff that was required, was kind of the entry level, and we all need to kind of go through those steps until we work it out of which steps are just not important and which steps are.
Right.
And that, you have CEOs that maybe work 1 hour a day. What they get done in that 1 hour, though,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is, but they didn't, they've gone off to play golf now. They've done off to do that. And I said, what they have just done is probably what you would normally do in a month, and that's the thing is, don't criticize, learn from them.
That's a beautiful example. Exactly. I wouldn't assume that I could do your job, you could do my job, but what can I learn from you?
Yes.
What is it? Comparison is the thief of joy. You can really look out there and find people who seem to be doing better than you in a million different areas. But if you look at your path has prepared you for something very unique and specific to you.
Yes. And so how can you kind of, it's learning a new dance, isn't it? You've been dancing the same dance for a long time. How can you kind of change the beat? How can you change the steps and still have fun with the dance, feel renewed in the dance, and have actually pay attention to the dance? Because otherwise, oh God, she's dancing the same old dance, right?
Well, yeah. So one of the things, and anybody listening can do this, is I have a lot of times in my workshops or with an individual, I'll have them draw a timeline as far back as they can remember of all the highlights of things they were proud of. It doesn't have to be, although it could be an award for perfect attendance or whatever. Just sometime they felt proud.
Yes.
So it could be an award, but it could be something where they thought, oh, I did it.
Yeah.
And once they've done that, I also have them draw another timeline of times when they've really been challenged, when they felt like they have failed, when they felt like they were hitting their head against the same wall over and over again. And it's just a revelation to them often that they have been preparing for whatever the next step is, that if they just concentrate on their victories, then it feels airy fairy, and they don't realize how hard they've worked. If they only concentrate on their downfalls or struggles, then they get depressed. And so we have to kind of recognize both. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's, as with anything in life, right? What goes on in your personal life will be in your work life and vice versa. And it's, pay attention to the little things, because if you don't, they manifest into something unreasonably big. And you look at it, and this it's become, I call it the CNN effect, a pimple becoming a volcanic eruption. And it's out of proportion. You know, it was never that big to start off with, but you didn't pay attention to it, or you worried on it too much, one or the other.
Mhm.
And now it's, you just don't know how to tackle it, you know, and
Yeah.
that will, our emotions around our work. Like, as you said, if you get stuck in something, oh God, I got to do this all again, or I did it wrong, or I didn't get that promotion because, don't get
Right.
stuck on why you didn't. What can you
Mhm.
do differently now so you will next time?
Right, exactly, exactly. Yeah, you can make a mountain out of a molehill by just staring down your troubles
Yes.
and blowing them out of proportion, or you know, I you can fall victim to the waiting for things to happen for you. If
Yeah.
you're resting on your laurels, those are a
Yes.
lot of.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I see it more like if you really get to know who you are, appreciate and accept who you are and where you are, um, then you can take yourself anywhere. It's about
Yes.
finding a fit, not fitting in. And I think the pivotal moment for me was I had been working with a whole classroom of clients who'd been laid off, and I was doing this outplacement work, helping them figure out their next move. And they weren't getting it. They weren't getting it. So I was drawing things on the board about this is where you are. Here's a bridge to where you want to be. What are the steps between? And drawing this stuff. And my boss later said, what was that stuff you were drawing on the board when I walked by? You know, and I said, you know, it was a bridge. And then I drew some other things in there about, you know, how to brand yourself. And he said, well, why were they laughing? I said, well, we got tickled about being from Texas, that a lot of them talked about growing up with sweet tea, with sweet iced tea. And so we got tickled about who was Dr. Pepper in the room and who was sweet tea. Help them figure out, you know, both were sweet, but one
Hmm.
was fizzy and one wasn't. So we're talking about the differences, you know, features and benefits. And they had never thought of themselves that way.
Right.
We got tickled
Hmm.
about that. You know, and you don't usually have a group of 30 people who've been laid off the day before
Yeah.
laughing.
Yes. Yes. And
And
yeah.
he just shook his head and he said, "Not everybody gets you."
Well, you've got them laughing, so they clearly did. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think, you know, for anybody, and of course we see so many pink slips being handed out at the end of the year around Christmas, which I think is the cruelest time.
Hmm.
And you know, so hard for anyone to get a new job, and never mind, you know, now Christmas is ruined, and they have no idea where they're going, or their industry has changed. And I think the hardest thing for people is, you know, that they've really worked hard at their job and no fault of their own, you know.
Hmm.
They've lost their job, and it's then to redirect. And I remember, you know, being in a course, and a guy was saying, look, all this mumbo jumbo is all this mumbo jumbo, just give me a job, I just want to work. You know. And
Hmm.
you know, and it's hard for people to go, oh, you know, there's some that will always find a job because they're multitasking, they'll go out and find something, right? But for
Hmm.
other people, is they're so defined by what they've done, and
Hmm.
they've really got to reinvent themselves, or redefine themselves, re-articulate who they are and what their skills are and how they can be used in a different arena. Because,
Right.
you know, we're here at 2019. We know there's going to be an awful lot of changes in this year. We're going more and more automated. Business is becoming more and more online. And really, you have to be willing to change and go with what is being presented, because if not, you are going to get left behind.
Yeah, and I don't. Yes and no. Here's a couple of things. People are still hiring in December. Maybe that's a U.S. thing,
Mhm.
but December is usually a really heavy time for me helping my clients get ready. I mean, it's been crazy just this morning. Although I do other things, do life coaching too and business coaching. And the job thing, because human resources and departments that need people are problem solving for next quarter.
Right.
So I have clients that have had 3 interviews this week, just
Mm-hmm.
one client, right? So I wouldn't fall for that idea that you can't make a move in December.
Right.
The other thing is, again, if you know yourself, and part of knowing yourself is knowing what your knowledge is,
Yes.
what your skills are, what you can do, what your talents are. And sometimes those take a little more, kind of like being paid to shut up. you,
Yes.
you have to look at, what do people rely on you for that doesn't always end up on your resume?
Right.
You know?
It's a rediscovery of self, isn't it? So you can
Mm-hmm.
rebrand yourself, as you say.
Yeah.
And I think there's something else that you hit on that's really, really important. We talk a lot on these Building Your Business shows, is that you are your business. Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're working
Right.
for someone, you are your business. You're always a representation of self in
Mm-hmm.
whatever you do. And this is your skill. This is who you are. But people are going to buy who you are more over the skill. Because they want to know, I like you, I like who you are, I like what you represent, and the skill could be taught, right?
Right. I actually was with a client when somebody offered her a job doing something she'd never done before. And she said, but I don't know how to do that. He said, you're excited about the work.
Right.
You like the company.
Mm-hmm.
You're personable. I would rather teach you how to do this than take somebody who has learned somewhere else and unlearn that and reteach that. Yes.
Enthusiasm is really big. I've talked myself into many a job. You know, I talked myself into Mobil Oil in South Africa as a woman's rep. Knew nothing about oil. I was going to be a sales rep, but I thought, I don't need to know about the oil. The people who are buying it know the difference, you know, between Shell, Mobil, and anything else. They've done their homework. It's really about customer service. It's about how I treat them. What kind of deal can I get to them? Am I there for them when they need me? And sometimes when we look at it, we think, oh, I've got to be able to do this. Well, that's only a minuscule amount of what you need to do. Really, it's all about relationships, isn't it?
It really is. And you start with the relationship with yourself.
Huge. Yes.
And I will tell people, I said, you know, there's a lot of doing on your resume, but I don't know who you are still. So
where's the being?
It's the being part.
Yes.
I have a client right now who has a great background in creative direction and design. Everything you can think of. And it was really hard to get her to share with me more about that in a way that would make a huge difference, because she comes from generations of creative people.
Right.
So just like your parents might have taught you to ride a bike or to make the secret family recipe for pie, apple pie, or whatever. Here it'd be buttermilk pie.
That's good.
They may have taught you that. She picked up how to choose colors that make people feel a certain way.
Right,
you know, what designs, shapes make you feel like you're at home, and how to get a whole team together to create the right thing so it reads visually a certain way.
Right.
And that's not something that every person knows, but it was really hard to pull that out of her.
Right. And, you know, I think a lot of that comes from the expectation. Go and get a real job. Go get the security.
That's true too.
You know, and it's, you know, I am more of that out there kind of person, you know, one of those big personalities just kind of walked into things. And it's like trying to say to you, shut up. No, it's like to me, tone down. It is, no, this is my energy. My energy is exuberant. Right. And it's not for every job and it's not for everybody, but it definitely has its place. And I, you know, for so long trying to hide it or tone it down, but this is what made me different. This is what helped me present who I was in doing what I was doing. And I think so many people have a beautiful skill and they don't know how to use it. And that's the thing, you know, you were paid to be quiet and now you're being paid to speak because your voice needed to be heard. And we mustn't be afraid of what we are meant to be here. If you've got overabundance of it, you've just clearly got to hone it in as to how to use it.
Yeah, and sometimes I think that we don't appreciate those things that come naturally to us.
Yes.
And so I've always been a bit of a cheerleader to cheer people on. No, we can figure this out. We can do it. You can do it. Let's, you know, so that makes me a really great life and coach, you know. Also, I've always dealt with dyslexia in a little bit for myself, but a lot in the family. And so I understand that there's more than one way to get a point across, to get information across. So it's a natural thing for me to, what some people would consider an over-the-top presentation, where I'm drawing things, I'm having people get up, I'm having people pretend to play a sport, just trying to get them in the game of making that change.
Yes.
Where some people would be, that was too much.
Yes.
But I've been told all my life I'm too much, too tall, too whatever.
You know, it's no, we're just, we're just enough for the people that I always say, have a poster out there and say, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I am somebody's strong cup of coffee.
There you go.
And that's the thing, is don't try and fit in to serve everybody. You'll always find your audience, right, that are ready to listen. And it's just owning your voice in confidence, owning it in the ownership of really what you've got to share is important. And the people that are ready to listen will be there. Right. You'll find that audience, but don't suppress yourself, because that's only hurting you.
Right. It's going to make it really hard. It's going to make it really hard for the generation after you too.
Yes.
Like, I'm very conscious of that now that I have a daughter who's probably too loud, too tall, too you know, and we jokingly say, I hope she uses her power for good. Because it's just, she's one of those people where it's impossible for her to walk in a room and people not notice her. She just has a presence, right?
Yes.
And then then she opens her mouth and you realize she's smart and she's funny and whatever. And so she's got a lot going for her. So hopefully she'll use it. So far she uses it for good. But I'm very conscious of not playing small.
Right.
Because it wouldn't serve her.
No. And that's her role in life. I have a son that's a natural born leader. He was never taught to be a leader. He was always that. He always had people that followed him, that looked up to him. He's always been able to sit someone down and give them advice and help them along their way. Even in his restaurant business now, he's become papa of everybody there that works there and everybody that comes in. And he is this personality. But he was, talk about ADD. It's Tyler, can you do this? Can you do that? She's trying to catch him because his attention was everywhere. But now it serves him, because now he's got this attention everywhere and he can hone in on anything that needs to be needed. So, I think the thing is, you talked about dyslexia. I have that as well, and sometimes when I'm introducing people with names, is the letters reverse themselves. So it's really hard for me to get my tongue around it. And what I have found is, it's the same if we have a glitch in a show. I'll own it. Instead of this, it's got to be perfect. Shoot happens in life. And if you just let people know, there's a glitch, or, I'm not going to say this name, because I'm going to bugger it up if I do. You say it. People lighten up. And if you want to have perfection, then you're living an illusion, because what is utterly perfect? Life happens. Let it happen. Own it. If you can edit it somewhere along the line, then do. If not, own it, but don't apologize for it.
Right. I just taught a sales class very imperfectly. And but I was putting it off because I couldn't figure out the technology, and I probably should do this and that and sell this. And one day I just thought, I can think of 5 people I could help today with that. And sure enough, the first time I got on, I couldn't control the camera the way I wanted. So one of the participants who knew the technology better said, hey, just let me run that and I'll send the recording to you. So we all signed off. She invited us. We signed off on, and all I had to do was teach that first time. The next time I had it. I thought I had it the first time. It wasn't like I was totally ill prepared. I just wasn't prepared for this one piece. And I thanked her for that.
Right.
And, instead of saying I'm sorry, this is a new thing I'm doing with my clients too, is saying thank you.
Yes.
I appreciated you rescuing me. Instead of saying I'm sorry, I needed rescuing.
Yes. But you've empowered her. You've appreciated her contribution. You've given her value for stepping up. right?
And I think that's really important for women in business to say,
yes,
thank you. I
yes,
did not realize how loud my class was. I cannot guarantee it will be quieter next time.
right,
That's what I
exactly.
ended up doing in that particular situation. I just said, thank you for letting me know. I'm not sure that I can be quieter than that with 35 people in that small of a room
Hmm.
and keep them engaged for 2 days. But
Right,
thank you for letting me know.
right. And that again, that goes back to, if you are a person that wants everything hum and calm, and you're not the person to hire, right? You're the
No.
exuberant person. You're going to get people laughing. You're going to get people feeling their own exuberance. You're turning the volume up on them. You're turning the
Mm-hmm.
possibilities up on them. You're showing
Mm-hmm.
them that they can laugh at whatever the situation is and get excited about it as an open possibility. So
Right.
and that's the thing is, please own who you are and what you are. Stop apologizing. Stop trying to fit in, right? We
Mm-hmm.
don't want you to fit in. We want you to stand out and be
Mm-hmm.
you, because we need you in the world, not,
Right.
somebody else's interpretation of you or a carbon copy of
Mm-hmm.
what you think you should be, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. And I am not that person who's going to show up in the navy blue suit with the string of pearls in my hair up in a bun. I'm just not that person. I mean, I've never been that person. I do own suits, but I have owned suits, but they've always been bright red or coral,
Right.
or even today, I
Yes,
have
exactly.
neon highlighter bright green on. So it would be it'd be a shock
Yes.
if I had a drudgy, quiet website and then you showed up to work with me. It would feel like a lie. You'd be very surprised.
Precisely. And this is not what I signed up for. I once, in teaching my course, I wore a suity type thing and darker colors. And somebody said, "But Sarah, you're so colorful. Why are you wearing this suit? It's not you." And
Hmm.
and it wasn't. I was kind of going with what, because it was a professional thing, going
Hmm.
into the illusion of that's what I needed to wear. Next time I came out being Sarah, wearing Sarah, which is always wearing something a little offbeat and quirky. Except for
Yeah.
today. Today I'm in my navy.
Oh
But with
my.
beads, but with beads.
And a beautiful red lip. So you're
Yes.
perfect.
But no,
But
that's my
so
background.
if we could talk about color for a second, I think
Yes.
that yes, I have deliberate careers, but another thing in the works is just DeAnnePearson.com, because that is enough.
Right.
Um, and I think that back to the work and the color and whatever, after that was said about not everybody gets you,
Right.
later I was thinking not everybody gets me, but my clients are getting results.
Right.
And I was thinking about this. When I walk, if you ask me what my favorite colors are, they're red and orange and green and turquoise, but on the brighter saturated jewel tones and
Yes.
brighter. But
Autumn
at
colors.
that time, if I walked into my closet, the work side looked nothing like that. And I was like, ooh, that is a big sign that I'm having to be somebody really different at work.
Right. Yes.
And that's
Yes.
fine if you're making a conscious choice, because this work makes the life you want possible. So you realize that. But I really didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that I wasn't being appreciated either, for who I was or what I could do. It was, an hourly kind of
Yes.
situation. Fill this hour,
Yeah.
and get this done.
It's not very engaging. Yeah, I use color, as you can see. For those that are just listening, not watching the video, I have a very, very, very blue background here, and of course, I am a screaming blue personality, and everything about me is this, blue, 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 sky blue. Um, way of approaching things, the wind, the blue, everything else. And color is incredibly important on the psyche, and it sets the
Mm.
way people are going to are you inviting, is it warm, is it something that really represents who you are, do you own it? And going in something that's completely psychedelic might be a little bit too much first time round, but wear a color that really represents the warmth of you and also what you're trying to present,
Mhm.
because the psychology of color will set the stage as to how people are going to listen to you. So don't be
Mm.
afraid of color. I get people all the time sending me books black with red writing. I'm sorry, folks, I can't stand it. Or sites that are very dark, and or just extremely gray. And it's like, but where is your color? Where is your personality in there? You're just putting something out that you think looks professional. What we're seeing today is we want people to step into consciousness. We want people to step into personality. We want people to step into a love and exuberance of what they do. So add some color. Go a little funky, right? We want that because it's so exhausting trying to step into this sterile type thing when most people do not exist in there anyway. They're just complying.
Right, exactly.
What was that movie? Is it Gattaca? Where everybody had to be at the same desk wearing the same thing. Everything had to be in the same order, and it's kind of so robotic. We don't want robots. We want beautiful, exuberant personalities out there, right?
Yeah, well, and some of us have precision jobs. I have worked with people who want I don't know. You don't want your brain surgeon showing up looking a little, too funky.
If he's qualified, what he does on his off time is what he's doing. He's working on my brain.
I want him to have personality, but I also want him to know his stuff.
Yes.
So
yes.
I think that I have a few people that are so off in their own world that they are repelling people. Sometimes I do say, could we use this bright color, but could it be a scarf instead of the whole suit?
Yes. Yeah.
So there are, you do have to, back to audience,
Yes.
How important is that audience to you? I don't want to change who you are, but again, could the neon green be your tie or your shoes or a scarf or something else? Or if we're looking at a website, we're looking at personal branding, could the neon green be the underline or the straight line? Could we massage it so it's not everything?
Yeah, a graphic or something that has a meaning to it with a saying on it. Yeah. And I think that is especially when you're introducing yourself. You may be, the whole rainbow, but you don't want to present that all at once. Let people get to know you, and that at the different levels you can bring in. The different colors because they've already purchased you, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. They've already bought who you are, and that's the reason why they've come back. So by the time you are wearing the multiple rainbow and neon lights, that's just you, and they don't care. That's just you.
Right.
But it's at that initial introduction. The what is it? 55% is how people perceive you on the instant they see you. Yeah. 37% the tone of voice of whether they're going to even listen to you, and it's only 7% content. So you could be the brilliantest person in the world, but if they haven't bought you, which doesn't mean the Armani suit, it means, are you present in yourself? Are you confident in your own presentation of you? And then the voice sets the background as to whether they're going to even listen to you or not. And a lot of people get confused about that, don't they?
Yeah, and I think you mentioned something like that earlier, and you're saying, I want to serve everybody. I want to do everything.
Yes.
And so you do have to cater your content to be more targeted. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of business and coaches and job seekers and different people I've worked with. And so if you say that you can do anything or you know how to do everything, I just don't see a job listing for that. I don't see people searching on Google for a business that can do anything or someone to do everything. They get very specific. If you're looking for a nanny, you're looking for somebody to take care of your children, that means certain things.
Yeah.
If you are looking to be a nanny, then you need to tell them the specific things. Yes, you can add your personality, like you were talking about your son being like the daddy, the papa who can do everything. So in high school, I had a nickname in my band. They called me the mom. Even the band director called me the mom after a while. So if somebody was upset, he would send me into the ladies' room, say, go get so-and-so. She has a solo coming up and she's upset. Can you help me figure that out? or, DeAnne, somebody needs a safety pin, or somebody left something at home, and whatever, I could just figure things out, but I would do it in a way that was caring.
Right.
So, in that way, I was kind of a jack of all trades. I did things with care and solve things. So it's a part of my brand. And I think my clients would also tell you that I kind of smack them with a fuzzy slipper every once in a while and say, you can keep doing that if you want to, but it's going to continue working the same way it has.
Right. I think it's know your hats. We can't just wear one hat today. And if you are a brain surgeon, yes, maybe the one hat. But for most jobs today, most careers in life, we need to have 2 or 3 hats that we're very comfortable with, they're very good at. Maybe we can wear other hats at a push because, they really want to hire people that can do more than just that. But, own the hats that you're very good at. I'm very, very good in A.C.C area. Those are my strengths. At a push, I can do, EFG, right? But it's not my strength. Well, people then know, oh, gosh, you're versatile. You can do ABC. And a push if it comes to shove, the other.
Yeah.
Right? But you're not saying you're going to wear all the hats at the same time. You're just saying strength, possible at a push.
Yeah, and then the value set that goes underneath that.
Yeah.
And, you can say I'm excited to learn those things that I don't know, or I value doing things with care and integrity. That helps you be memorable also, throwing in some value. I'm working with somebody who's had a series of jobs in working in the gift and funding of nonprofits. And she's had a lot of different roles within that. So we were talking about what does that all mean if we narrow it down, and if we say I can do like you said, these 3 things, and the other 3 things I can also do. But when she adds in there how good she is at developing those relationships, those long-term relationships, and the length that she has gone to genuinely connect and grow a small donor to a major donor with heart and integrity, that's memorable.
Yes.
That's somebody you want on your team.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the integrity of who they are and what they stand for precedes their resume.
Right. And that's same thing with we're joking around about the brain surgeon. Well, the brain surgeon, he works on the brain, but I wouldn't want him to come in my room reeking of alcohol.
Right.
So
alcoholic brain surgeon need not apply.
Yes. I would want him to be able to handle the problem I'm dealing with myself or my loved one. And I would want him to be able to say, and if it comes to an emergency during that time we have together in the operating room, I also can do this and this.
Right.
And so he actually wears many hats too, but there's some things that I would expect him to be on time. Yes. I would expect him, unless he's in surgery with somebody else, I would expect him to ask me questions. So there are some expectations, even with the most skilled person, that you have to be prepared for.
The expectations I think we all want today is be personable. There are, people that are in positions, say, like brain surgery. I'm going to take orthopedic right now because I broke my ankle a few years ago and I was having problems. And they sent me back to the orthopedic surgeon and I'd broken my toe and things like that. And he just says, oh, you've got arthritis, learn to live with it. And as for your toe, I can cut it off for you. And it was like, just so dry. Next, do you want it cut off or not? And next, and it's like, no warmth. No, I mean, it wasn't a big traumatic thing. It's just something, okay, I've got to learn to live with it and the toe's still on, right?
Yeah.
But for other people, and especially when it comes to, I say there's more people that actually die from the diagnosis of cancer than the actual cancer, because cancer is curable, folks. And if you have been given, quote, that death sentence, you've got so long to live. And for a lot of people is they give up, they get absolutely paralyzed. So the presentation, how warm and personable you are towards someone, are you seeing them? Are you speaking to their needs? Are you hearing what they're saying so that you can address that? Because sales pitch, I've had it so many times that people try and sell me something and they haven't even asked me the question if I'm even at all interested in it. right? Even if it fits into my life. Is it something that remotely would have any, interest in my life at all?
Right.
Right? And there they are, blah, blah, blah. It's a great product. Is it a product that fits into my lifestyle? Talk to me. Listen.
Right.
You will find out if it does or not. And from there, you can go.
Yeah, I was talking to a client today who's considering building websites. And I said, okay, so he really had this heart for this certain group. I said, okay, so this group does not have a lot of websites. Do they value websites enough to pay you?
Right.
And I talk about niching in a funny way, like, does this person have an itch? Can they reach the itch themselves and they just don't care, or they don't value it enough to take care of it? Does it itch bad enough that they will pay you to scratch it for them? Is that scratching something you do well and don't mind repeating often?
Right.
And that's just the start of talking about niche. I'm just kind of weird about words. I love words that rhyme and stuff. So my clients get pretty tickled. And he was like, oh my goodness. I said, yeah. So sometimes you have this whole group of people who don't have a website.
But do they care? Do they care? Yeah, exactly. And that's going back to any form of business, no matter what. You're helping people, find a job, discover who they are in their own lives so that they can bring that forward into a career, and great cheerleader and supporter of them on their journey and embracing a redirect. But bottom line of it, what's it all about? It's with self and with everyone else around you, in the workforce, in your personal life, in everything, in interaction. It comes down to the word a relationship. We are always building a relationship. When we are speaking with people, trying to build a relationship with them, we are, resonating ourselves. Does that person like you enough to want a relationship with you? But everything comes down to that, doesn't it?
Right. It really does. It really does. And do they value the result enough?
Yeah.
To spend the time, money, and effort? Often the things that I ask people to do as a coach will require them to step out of their comfort zone, because if they could have gotten it, whatever it is they want. And I'm not saying they're sitting there on their lazy boys. Sometimes they're working really hard and working a lot of hours. It's just that they're busy and not productive.
Right.
And once we identify that thing they have to do, and they resist, and it's like, if you want to build a relationship with your best clients, show up at their office, or how many of them are drivable, that you can show up at their office with a holiday gift, a Christmas gift, a Hanukkah gift, whatever, and make it personal.
Right.
So that they don't think of you as just a person who's done work for them or worked with them or partnered with them. The next time somebody says, oh, I got to get some web stuff done, they say, oh, my friend so-and-so, my friend Sarah, well, she does that.
Right. And that's the thing, my friend, the best form of any work is referral, isn't it? I need something. Oh gosh, you've got to meet this person. This is what they do. They're great. You'll love her. Right. And that's the kind of testimony you want. Somebody else has had an interaction with somebody. They know what they're like and they're willing to refer, not a yellow pages. Right. We don't even use yellow pages anymore. It is about your presence. Now, how important would you say it is to have some sort of web presence for people, whether they're just looking for a job or whether they're wanting to set up their own business? Because that's the statement of who you are and what you do, isn't it?
Right. The way I see it is that if you're looking to be hired either directly as an employee, or you're looking to be hired as a consultant, coach, whatever that is, make it easy for the person looking for you. And in that case, web presence, even if it's not a website, if it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Plus, and a few of those, you can string that together. I was making plenty of money before I had a web, could decide what I wanted my website to look like, and as soon as you get your website up, there's, within a month, there's updates and which is fine. It's just that it requires attention.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to a group recently, and I said, well, the first thing I would do if I were looking for a job, this is a group of people who are getting ready to graduate from college,
Right.
is that I would clean up my social media. I would go look at who I'm connected with,
Right.
what they're saying. I would unfriend or hide things. I would clean up my social media because it's just too easy for somebody to put your name in a
Yes.
Google search and have you come up.
Yes.
And if it's between you and this other person who has equal qualifications, but you have this little questionable thing going on over here, it just makes it easier for them to choose someone else.
I mean,
So make it right.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge point that you bring up, because now anybody can Google you. And it's like, you've got some people who go, well, I'm just not going to be online. I'm not going to have any of that presence. But again, we're going back to, if an employee wants to know about you, they are pretty well going to Google you to see, what's the extent of you outside of that interview. And it's whatever you put out there in life, make sure you own it. Make sure it represents who you really are and who you want to present yourself to be. And it's, don't be, if you're going to post anything, it's always got to be something, it's not going to come back and bite you. It's something you can stand tall with, right?
Right, exactly. And I have clients who do not have web presence at all. Maybe they have a really high security clearance and
right
in their job or whatever, and that's fine. But they need to look at it every once in a while and make sure nobody's posted about them. They need to clean up.
Yes.
Take care of your house. For many of them, it's a very conscious choice. If you have spent 16 hours a day with your hands up to your elbows in technology, some people just want to go home and not deal with that.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Some of them do it for security reasons, but some of the people, it's just a personal choice. But you do need to audit and make sure that that's the case. Even if you say, I'm never online, doesn't mean somebody else doesn't have something posted about you.
Right. And if you are hiring someone to do a website or do anything for you, I have found so many times, because I go to somebody's website to have a look at, before I interview them, because, a lot of the time I have a conversation before we're going to do the show. Sometimes if a publicist sends me something, it's straight into a show. And I look at the website, and after I've spoken to the person or I'm speaking to the person, I go, this isn't a fit. You've hired someone to do this website. It's very generic. There isn't an ounce of you in there or representation of what you do. So you've got to make sure, even if you hire someone, they understand who you are and what you're doing, so they can truly represent it and make it very invitational.
Exactly. I have worked with people over the years and just said, well, even recently I had someone I worked with, and she was helping me with some things, and I said, well, show me your website. And it was all very, very pink and frou-frou and whatever, and that's fine.
If it's a personal one, just for fun.
Yeah, but I don't want to hire an accountant or somebody I think of as linear and accurate who has, curly Q calligraphy fonts that I can barely make out the name of, right? You have to think about first impressions or collateral. This website is going to be the first impression someone has of you. And typically, when we think of accountants, lawyers, people who are in a very conventional black and white kind of area, which I am not, so I would look for that person to have a website that kind of reflects that, right? And if they've written a book, I would kind of think if they've written one book or 5 books, that I would be able to pick them off a shelf. That's part of the visual part of the brand. So this person made some changes, and she's written a couple of books, and when she threw something up to ask questions online about the second book, I said, don't go with that color, go with this color. Yeah. As people walk by the shelf at the bookstore, if they're looking online, they'll be able to put those 2 books together. They're complementary.
Yes.
But it's kind of like, and make it easy. I love the fact that you speak Greek. Great. Not everybody speaks Greek. Not everybody can read calligraphy. Not everybody loves salmon color,
Well, the thing is,
But,
still bring yourself to it. If you are a colorful person, then you're going to be an accountant for people who are colorful because you're going to be able to speak their language, but your skill is linear, cross the T's, dot the I's type thing. You can still be yourself and represent what you do, but just don't be too much yourself because then it's a misrepresentation of what you do. Again, balance,
you have
right?
forgotten the client.
Yes.
You have left them out of the formula.
Right.
It's like, I really don't, I don't know, it might be kind of funny for me to see my accountant do stand-up comedy, but I don't want that to be the first impression.
Right. I mean, if that's another hat that you wear, kudos. Like having people do all sorts of things in the courses that they're with you. You out of the box, you present things in a different way. But in that first impression, it's the hat that you're wearing has got to represent why people should even let you in the door in the first place. And from there, you can become, we don't.
Yeah. And I don't mind if your hat has a flower in it.
Exactly.
But if it has a flower, rainbow feathers, sparklers and stuff, I'm beginning to think that you want to entertain at children's birthday parties.
Right. Yeah.
Make it easy for them.
Yes, exactly. And, I think also don't get stuck in your little niche there, right? Be willing to actually put on other hats. And say, oh, this is my hat. It's the only hat I need to wear. No, actually, today we do need to have to be able to wear at least 2 or 3 hats. Because we need to actually understand, both sides of the equation. And if you just got a one hat, then that's kind of telling me that you're not flexible or you don't have other perspectives and you can only see things from one point of view. So showing some versatility, I think, is really, really important to show that you are open to other perspectives and not just, nope, it's got to be done that way. That's the only way to do it because I wouldn't hire you.
That's fine if you're a police officer and you need somebody to walk that line.
Yeah.
But I when you know yourself well and can express it well, I'm always surprised that, or not always, but over the last 20-something years, I've had so many people, even this last week, who've gone to an interview for job A, a very narrow description. They've gone in, they've interviewed, they've impressed this person, and this person has said, wait, this job isn't for you. And instead of walking away, if you stay with it and say, well, what makes you say that? Tell me more. And you keep that conversation going. I've had so many people, even this month, who've ended up with a job at this company or wherever, this organization, who've gone in for job A, but have impressed that person so much. They said, oh my gosh, Sarah, you're overqualified for this, but we have an opening that we haven't even posted yet. Could you come back for that and interview for that? Because I'm not the hiring person. Yep. If you are staying within that relationship of expressing who you are and the difference you can make, then you're open to that. But if you're not, and you've gone in for job A and they say, wait, this job isn't for you, and you take it like to the heart, which it could be. Yeah. And if you get up and say, okay, and you walk away, you never know about the rest.
It's the same as if you're looking at the movies. Many a time they've hired an actor or an actress because of their name, and it was totally the wrong role for them, right? And the thing is how many people have, gone on to be hugely successful in a series, a play, of this and that. Oh, yes, I originally went in for that role. And they said, no, we think you'll be better in that role. And out come the awards galore because that was your role. Be willing to be flexible. Rigidity in anything in life is only going to have you snap into. We've all got to be able to be flexible and go with the wind sometimes and be a little exploratory. All right, you've never done it before, but they see something in you. Go, you know what? If you're willing to work with me, I'm going to give it a try.
Right. And so that's a great example of, like, if I think success is working with, let's say, horses, I think success is working with horses, but I decide I want a jockey real early on, there's not much chance that this 5'10" girl is going to be a jockey, right? There's just not. So,
unless it's a really tall horse.
It's going to be a really, really big horse in a very strange race. But if I stay with, I love horses and the value of it, then I can see other possibilities.
Yes.
I could be a veterinarian or a horse trainer, or I could find out that I just love writing, and I could do that with or without pay. Then I would create a job that pays well enough that I have access to horses, the money to take care of a horse or rent a horse or house a horse or whatever you do with horses. I just made that up. So
no, but I mean, talking about horses, they actually do hire people to ride them because they need to be exercised every day. So you may not be in the race, or you may not be here or there, but
yeah,
you could just have the pleasure of being paid for to ride that horse every day to make sure it gets
every
its
day.
exercise, right?
Yes, exactly. So that, and also there is a building too. Like if you're taking yourself too lightly, let's say, I know how to make Excel spreadsheets. Well, this is a real story. I had a client who knew how to use Excel spreadsheets, but she was a math teacher in a high school. She was really burned out. So she decided on her own, I didn't help her with this, but she decided how to take those spreadsheets and learn to use Python, which is a higher skill. Then she took that ability to use Python programming, which, I don't know how to do that either.
You lost me at Excel sheet.
I know. I was just amazed.
Yeah.
She just understood this stuff, and she built that into something called Tableau that very few people know. So here's how I can explain it to you. There's spreadsheets and Excel spreadsheets. You can take all that information and build it into something that you and I would understand.
Right.
A beautiful dashboard or graphic that shows, how many people watch your show or listen to your show, how many people listen to the repeat, and it turns into something that you and I would like to look at.
Yeah.
And it could be election results, it could be this, it could be that. So she built these skills. So she took something she knew and enjoyed, she added some other skills, and she used it as a ladder to gain skills. She has a totally different career as a data analyst now. But I mean, she called me from the airport and said, I'm getting on a plane to take my first business trip. I have never been on a business trip. They're paying for it. They're paying for my hotel. Things that,
Yes.
teachers
Right.
don't get to do on the company or the school budget. So
The important thing is she was willing to explore and
Yes.
not sell herself short. She did
Yes.
not settle.
Yes.
Right? She did not settle. Well, if I could be a teacher and I can teach people to think out of the box and look at something from a different angle, why can't I apply my own teaching to
Yes.
myself and just see where this goes? The things don't dictate where things are going to go. Get on that road and say, I'm going to take this road in whatever vehicle, explore whatever happens, and be open and ready to receive along the way, because you never know which direction it's going to go into. And always be ready for it, right? Always be ready for it and aware.
Yeah, and here's this person who loves math. She's getting to apply it in such a different way,
Yes.
in an up-to-date way, in a way that she finds satisfying and challenging, in an environment where they're valuing what she does and her experiences and everything. And they ended up interviewing and hiring someone also to do something similar. And she goes, within the first few weeks. And she said, oh, will this new person be my boss? And they said, no, you're the senior person.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, oh, because I'm older. I said, no, you know more about Tableau. We think that you can supervise this person and teach them, so they're going to actually work for you. She was blown away at where she'd gotten in just a couple of months. Now, it took her longer to learn Tableau. She gave herself several months, and she did it all for free. She pieced together her own education.
Right. And this is whether you're working for someone or whether you're an entrepreneur, right? It's going into having a dream, having something you want to do, and then exploring its options, being open to align or collaborate or explore, start wearing those different hats. Again, you may wear a dozen hats initially, and then you can start taking them off and delegating those hats to other people as you perfect it going along. But it's all that willingness to grow. Right? I'm going to be here by this date and that, I have a desire to be at a certain level in my life, X, Y, Z, but don't dictate it and be rigid on it, because if you are, I guarantee you that path is not going to take you there at all. It's be
Right.
willing to learn, be willing to explore, be willing to take yourself out of your own comfort zone. Because if somebody else sees something in you and you don't yet, let them show you who you are.
Yeah. I told a client the other day, I said, you can always borrow a cup of confidence from me because I know you can do this. Let me, and I just repeated to her what she had done in her life thus far, even in the last couple of months. And I said, so what would you say to that person? And it was hard for me to keep her from interrupting me because I was like, so you've changed your relationship, where you live, your job, you've done this. And it's like, I would expect you to be a little anxious now that you're a month into your current job, because now you know what you don't know in the new job. And she said, oh, I said, so if you were talking to your best friend and your best friend had done all this and experienced all this, and she goes, oh yeah, I think now that I've landed where I want to be, I think if I talk to myself as my best friend, I would take good care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I would insist on being treated with respect, whether I'm at work or at home or anywhere. So that starts with respecting myself. That also gives me a chance to be compassionate about what I've been challenged with lately. And sometimes that means taking care in a quiet way, like I might just need a nap. Yeah. Where are you on that to-do list?
Yes. Yes. And if you have so much change all happening at once, at some point it's going to hit you. And it's like, don't get, flattened by it. As you say, take that deep breath, recognize, oh, look at how much I've achieved. How much change has been in my life. Now it's time to just absorb it. Take the time to absorb it. And, go for that nap sometimes. Or I think rediverting yourself, pick up a book that's nothing to do with your work or anything else and kind of escape into that book for a while. It's a way of just removing yourself, and you come back and then you can look at it again without feeling a little overwhelmed. The thing is, self-care is incredibly important in any line of work, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it could be that picking up that book. I call it linking or tying things together or pairing things that are uncomfortable with things that are comfortable. Like we have all these annual exams we have to do that are not comfortable, us women. And so I purposely don't take work with me.
Right.
I wouldn't spend money and time on magazines, gossip magazines, but they always have them in the waiting rooms.
Right.
So I indulge myself during that time to read trashy magazines, or I don't know, gossip magazines that I just, Hollywood this and Hollywood that, which, I wouldn't buy, but, and then, I took a picture of that. I'll have to post it for you. But, I now always remind my friends, when you have something unpleasant to do, give yourself a reward that's not a donut. Give yourself a reward that's more like an experience. There's a new article, I think it was Harvard Business Review, or somebody had an article about how walking through a museum changes your breathing and everything. If you enjoy museums, I happen to love art museums. I love outdoor parks where they have a lot of things to look at and sculptures and stuff. And it changes your heart rate. It changes your outlook. And so it can be like a workout.
Yes.
And sometimes my clients have an assignment like that. Go take a walk. No, not walking the dog. That's work. Go take a walk and be really present to wherever you're walking and text me afterwards.
And that's something I think we get so caught up in, isn't it? Is that we're so busy worrying about the next thing. We forget to be in the now. And if we don't pay attention to the now, we're not going to be present in the next moment. So it's very, very important that we kind of take that time to breathe and, go and do something, that rebalances you. It brings back that equilibrium, that breath that you need. And, for some people, it could be a jog, it could be a walk, it could be whatever it is. Blasting on
a bath. I have a client who's really into go take a bath.
Yes, exactly. You've got to know what it is. You've also got to know your trigger. Hang on, I'm just getting overwhelmed here. I need to take some time out. for me, that's a little pampering, that's just for me, not serving anyone else. I'm going to be a little self-centered here, because that's the way of you, replenishing yourself. Then you've got more to give everyone else, but you can't give if you're depleted.
Yes, we have this discussion often with my clients. Fine is a 4-letter word. Fine. I'm fine. How are you? I heard that, you had a death in the family. I'm fine. I heard that your company is being taken over. I'm fine. I heard, so you have 3 kids now. How is that? I'm fine. I mean, it's like fine is a 4-letter word. Now, does everybody need to, I'm not into being overly vulnerable or, to do what I call an emotional flasher, who's
Right.
always just like pouring their emotions all over the place. That's whole nother problem. But
Yes.
to tell everybody you're fine when you're not fine is really hard.
It's also a shutdown to other people, right? It's kind of like, I'm not going to tell you. And for other people who, if you say, you know what, it's a challenging day. Oh, what's wrong? Can I do anything? You're allowing other people to be a part of that solution, even if it's just a question of, I'm there for you, a hug, or, I wish you well. You have no idea how much vibrationally that will serve you. And so to say fine is also sometimes a slap in the face of other people who want to gift you some caringness.
Right. And fine, to disassociate the fact that you're not fine can become a habit that can cost you dearly.
Right.
Because at some point it's going to break. But it's okay to tell your boss, I'm fine. I need to take off some time because I have an ill family member. You don't have to go into every detail.
Right.
But you do need to gather your support and say, out of the whole world, these 3 people I can count on, or these, I know that I don't have to do it all.
Right.
Right. Which might mean that, one time you have your house deep cleaned so you can decorate for Christmas. That's what I did the other day. I thought, I'm just not going to decorate over dust. And it just happens to be Christmas Eve is my birthday and my son's birthday. And so it's just a crazy time, and I'm really busy with my business. So I just thought, I'm going to have the house deep cleaned, and then then I'll just have the decorating to do, which is fun. But, I actually thought about having somebody do that too, but I don't know. But I cannot be fine with decorating over the dust.
Right. And you haven't got the time. And there's somebody else's job out there that can do it for you very well. So hiring other people, you're giving them the chance to work. Right.
And I'm being very specific. In this room and that room, not that one.
Right.
And the same thing with friends. One of the dearest things a friend has ever done for me is I was going through a very difficult time. My kids were really little. They're a year apart, and I had a newborn and a year and a half old, and we had a death in the family, and my husband was gone, and it was just such a mess. And she said, okay, she called me, Rebecca, I just remember this. She said, okay, so when I'm in a situation like this, I need quiet. But when we're having a situation like this, my husband needs to be busy. He likes a lot of things, distractors, and a lot of things going on. He needs to do stuff. So I'd be happy to either offer you quiet by coming in to get your kids for a little while so you can have quiet, what that means packing to get ready to go or whatever that means. Or I'd be happy to have you over and I'll make you dinner and we can be noisy and goofy and we'll bring you back home. And it was just really sweet to ask me how I needed the support, quiet or whatever. And it was just, amazing.
I've got a show out just last in December there. I always do shows around Christmas, so, the giving and the attitude around Christmas etiquette and all of that. But one of the shows is on the greatest gift you can give is time. Your time. And that sometimes in an envelope this gives you 2 hours off to get your hair done, or picking up some groceries for you, or taking you out for a bite to eat, or I'm taking your kids for the weekend, or all that work that you got that you need help in, I'm going to do such and such for you. The gift of actually doing something for someone and giving them back their time is an incredible gift.
Yes,
we never seem to have enough in 24 hours, do we?
I know. Well, and then you can get very sick from just the stress and the exhaustion of doing your life at certain in different times of your life on that long timeline. And so I'm very thankful that I live in a neighborhood where I can text my neighbor and say, sick, flu, need liquids.
Right. Yes. And you know that.
And they will literally leave them on the front porch.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I used to, because, you know, I'm an entrepreneur, 5.5 years of running this network. And it was always, you know, I've got to make sure I have shows over Christmas. I've got to make sure I've got this. I've got to make sure I have that. And it would be work. And, you know, for 2018, shut down on the 20th, back to work on the 29th, just to make sure everything is up like these shows for the new year, and take that time out to visit friends, see family, and just download. And sometimes we, you know, we have to say no, right? We have to say no so that we can just take that time to regroup. And it's never a waste of time, because when you come back into the workforce, when you come back into it, you feel so much more energetic, more enthusiastic. Oh yeah, no, I'm excited, roll up the sleeves and get going again. So that time out is really, really important.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't remember if you said, if we've talked about this, I have trouble meditating and doing anything quiet.
So I wonder why.
I don't know. I'm a doodle meditator. So I meditate and paint or draw or whatever. I'm a doodle meditating is what I call it. So that to me fun is great. I often doodle in alcohol ink, not alcohol. Well, that might work too. I'm having a great time meditating. Or I do watercolor, which kind of working in watercolor kind of reminds you, if you work really loose with lots of water, that you can't control everything, and that so many happy accidents happen.
Yes.
I was doing that recently, and someone said, I love that. I posted on Facebook, and somebody said, I love that. Can I buy that? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know. But it's because, like, you know, that's how my mind works. That a break for me often has something to do with creating something.
Right. For
color.
For you, not to do with
for me.
For you. Something that, you know, quietens your heart and your spirit, and, you know, just lets you flow. It's very, very, you've got to know what it is. There is no one size fits all. I mean, for me to sit cross legs and meditate, I need a crane to get me back up. And there is no, you know, my mind would become, because it's quiet, the busiest it would be creative, you know. So for me, I have to be either reading or watching something or talking to someone for me to switch off. Because it doesn't happen in that silence. The silence is when I go to sleep, then it's busy there too. It's always busy. There is no switch off.
Me too. You know, I'm such an extrovert that I jokingly say I don't have complete thoughts without somebody to talk to. So
right. Yeah, yes. And whether you know, you're talking to your other self. And, you know, they always say this is the first sign of madness if you answer yourself. And I say, no, this is the first sign of clarity.
Yeah, can be.
Yes.
Now, if you say, what were you saying to yourself?
I think we don't listen enough to ourselves. And I think that's really important that we do.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who have stayed in jobs that were making them ill.
Yes.
You know, they're not talking about smoke or asbestos, you know, that kind of thing.
Toxic,
although you could pay, but just ill.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the voice in them is saying to them all the time, get out. And then it's about, I've got to make the mortgage, or I got to make the rent, and I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And it's like, you know, no, go and get another job, because otherwise you won't be around to pay the rent. You know, that's when dis-ease comes in and the body breaks down. And it's the alma mater, positive water, negative water, you know, syndrome that happens. So we owe it to ourselves to find joy and love in what we do. It's very important, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I mean, like you said, I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I'm certainly memorable wherever I go.
Exactly.
I may not be the person that you want to invite to, you know.
But if you
meditation, but
right, exactly. No, you're the one to kind of get them up, and you know, they came in down drills. What's my future? And they go out just ready to embrace it. You know,
Mhm.
I can do this. There is options out there. This is for me. And that's very, very important, because we need that enthusiasm. Everything has its place. This is your role. This is your hat. This is what you do best.
Mhm.
So having said that, how do people find you? And
Mhm.
what have you got on for 2019 that
Oh, thanks. Well, again, the company's Deliberate Careers. So I'm at DeAnne at deliberatecareers.com. If you search for me, you can
good?
find me on my website or on LinkedIn or on Facebook. But the things I have going on, we were talking about the noisy side, the physical side. So one of the things I'm doing in January is called a Smash Lab, and I'm doing a live one, I'm doing a virtual one, and it's breaking up with the things we don't want to carry into the new year. So for my sales consultants, or my consultants who want to increase their sales, we're going to break up with old habits around money and old stories around money. We're going to be rewriting those. So
Excellent.
that's a live class here in Austin, Texas. But I have done this virtually one-on-one, so I'd be happy to work with somebody on rewriting their money story, or their relationship story, their career story. I have a mastermind that starts in January that is ongoing, called the Smarter Biz Mastermind. And it's all about meeting people where they are and helping them figure out where they are in business, where that's foundational of like just getting started and filing the right paperwork, which, you know, is kind of the boring side that a lot of creative people don't want to do, but you need to do that. All the way up to niching and who are my people, where are they, how do I keep them engaged in a truly heartfelt and authentic way. To me, that program is more about you being your best and me showing up so that you can see it kind of reflecting where you are and what's possible next.
Right.
I do a lot of one-on-ones, and I love to speak. I'm an engaging speaker. Although you heard me talk a lot. One of the things I'm also teaching in some of my consultants is how to speak, how to engage the audience by taking a quick survey about who's looking for this, who's looking for that. Okay, let me meet you where you are, because so many people do the stand up and tell people stuff, lecture.
Right.
So I'll be
Yes.
teaching more of that. I'm speaking at eBay. I'm speaking at a couple of conferences coming up. But yeah, I love to work one-on-one by Zoom or phone, or my beautiful home office here. You can see kind of behind me. But the speaking thing, that's the part where I love to reach lots of people. I love to have an audience that goes, oh, I never thought of that.
Right.
Not because I've
Yes.
told them something, but because I've asked them the right question.
And that actually is huge. You know, I've actually interviewed people who are what I call lecturers. They get up there, they're grandstanders, they've got something to say, but when it comes to actually having a conversation, and you know, they don't have the platform, they don't have the interaction, and asking the audience what they're concerned about and then addressing it is an interaction. It's something
Yeah.
that's going to be, you're not just, well, you know, it's like going back to the salesman. Stop
Yep.
selling me something I don't need. I didn't come down here to buy lingerie. I came here to buy paint.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Or I didn't come to buy anything. I came to use the restroom. Bye. Whatever.
Yes, exactly. So by
Yeah,
asking
to
the
engage
audience what
people
they
too.
need, yeah, now you can speak to the needs. And
Yes.
that then sparks out in them. I hadn't thought about it that way. Or that's a great way to look at it. And then, of course, they want to talk further with you. So I think this is where we're going in business as well, isn't it? It's like stop pitching, start inviting, right? Inspiration for
Yeah.
invitation.
Validating, engaging.
Yes.
Yes. And with that, I have to say that it has so much to do with meeting people where they are, honoring the fact that even if they don't buy anything from you, that you both left that moment in time, because everybody's giving up their
Yes.
time to be together.
Yes.
So everybody exchanges something, that you honor that, and that you both walk away knowing each other or yourselves better.
And you don't have to agree. You may be not, again, the cup of tea, but then they're going to refer you to someone else that goes, you know, this is for you, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you've built that relationship, it's about leaving somebody with a good feeling, and because they're going to want to pass that feeling on. That's what it's
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much. And I know at LinkedIn, you're DeAnne Coaching, and Facebook, DeAnne Coaching as well.
On Facebook, it's Deliberate Careers.
Deliberate Careers, okay. And deliberatecareers.com, they can go and find everything there,
Yes.
whatever the interest is. Well, thank you so much, DeAnne. A great way to start this 2019 off.
Thank you.
It's going to be an extraordinary year of change. There is such a shift going on where a great deal of you talked about the old way of doing things, old programming and practicing that's been going on in the world that's not serving humanity is on its way out. And it really is now an opportunity for everyone to step into their authenticity, into their beautiful gift, and get out there and truly share it, because that's what we're needing in the world. So thank you for leading that platform and giving people their own voice, recognizing their own gift, so they can really participate, which is wonderful. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah, for being such a good interviewer and for listening. I can tell that your heart and your ears were open today.
Always. I just love people who are out there enabling. And word enabling has been given a bad rap. No, if you can enable them into be all that they're meant to be, that self-discovery of just how awesome they are, because we sell ourselves too short. And no more of that. Be abundant, be beautiful, let your cup run off over. You will benefit other people along the way.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And to everyone else, this is 2019, January. It's a clean slate. Let all your garbage that, went wrong in the last year, leave it there. You don't need it in 2019. Be willing to do the work. Be willing to investigate and explore yourself. If you're in the world looking for a new job, DeAnne is here. She can guide you. She can counsel you onto the right path into embracing where you are meant to be. So don't hold yourself back. This is the time to propel yourself forward. So until next time, folks, let's make 2019 the best year yet. Bye for now. For more wonderful shows like this, please go to selfdiscoveryradio.com, podcasts, and see our lineup. And if you wish to support us, we have a funded button. Please stay tuned for our next show.